Hello and welcome to the next episode of the Lawless Podcast. And today I'm joined with Tom and Archibald Dunton Saints. So Tom, how are you doing today? You all right?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
I'm really good, mate. Yeah. Archie, how you doing?
Very good. I've been looking forward to this podcast for the last 10 minutes. It's great.
Good, man. A whole 10 minutes of anticipation building. So yeah, today we're going to be discussing all things Durham, all things Freshers Week, and just basically trying to get to know Saint and Tom a little bit more. So, Tom, how was your experience moving up to Durham?
Well, it's been different from most people. I thought moving up here, a lot of people would have been from the north because I'm from Yorkshire, so I was expecting quite a few from round by me, but actually most people are from the south, whereas I'm only like 20 minutes on the train away. So it's been not too bad. I'm able to go home when I want to, really, but I've been trying to stay up and sort of get settled in before I start hopping back and forwards, really.
Yeah, nice one, man. So what was life like for you at home then? What was it like?
Yeah, it was good in lockdown. We'd recently moved house, so that was nice. Like, having a bit of time with the parents and things. Everyone being at home with the dogs. So I was enjoying it really. But it was nice to have a bit of a change. I think everyone was ready to get off and go really after COVID and online learning and all that rubbish. So
exactly. Like even for the people who are in second year now, it's been so rough because they haven't actually had the uni experience. But yeah, so Saints, how have you found moving up here, mate?
Well, my experience was a little bit different to Tom's. It was a long journey, a full 7 hours in the car.
A Moorish journey, mate.
A Moorish journey. I got here. It was pretty easy moving in. Travis was very welcoming. It was very nice.
Love that, man. So obviously you moved in, got your stuff sorted out, and then what happened next? What do we do next?
Well, I got here on the Saturday, whereas most people got there on the Sunday. So I was the only one on our landing that was actually here. So I just was sat in my room for most of it, and then went down to the college bar, and then went out to Players that night, which was a bit of an eye opener. But it was good to see the clubs around Durham. Enjoyed it. Still one of my favourites.
Nice, man. So for our listeners, what is a landing? What is that?
So there's like a group of 6 people, all in like a sort of hexagon shape, which is Trev's main thing. And then there's another group of 6 next door, and each group of 6 like shares a toilet and showers and all that. And then between 2 groups of 6, they make up like a household thing, and they share like a small kitchen. But no, they're like the 6 people you're with are the ones you tend to spend most of your time with. You see them every day, So it's good that I like everyone on our landing, really.
Exactly. Massive shout out to Yuri here. It's our one of our other companions on the landing.
Couldn't make it to this one.
I think he's out doing secret business, whatever he's up to.
Probably a bingo.
Probably somewhere else. Some other pensioner activity. But yeah, so it's been really good. Everyone on our landing's been really nice, and when you see it from this perspective, it's like it's a weird sort of social experiment because you get 6 people who you've never met before, shove them in a landing and just see how it all works. And for some people like us, we've been really lucky to get a landing where we all kind of get on the mates. But for some other landings, some other people, it's not been that brilliant. Because, if you've got nothing in common with them, then you'll probably find yourself spending a lot more time in other landings, which, is fine in itself, but it's nice to have that sort of community around you, isn't it?
Exactly.
That's right, man.
Archie's lucky he's got a good roommate, though. That's the main thing.
He's a really lucky boy, he is. He loves it. So, what has it been like sharing a room? Has that been all right, or don't want to spoil?
There are a few quibbles.
Quibbles!
Every now and then, just like different sleep schedules. I go to sleep very late. He goes to sleep normal time.
Yeah, sensible time.
Yeah. It's been all right though. Like, got to share a sink.
Yeah.
But it's made it a bit easier moving in. I think like, having someone always there rather than like when you go back to your room. A lot of time is actually spent in your room, and if you're just on your own, it doesn't matter. I found it a lot easier after that one night I spent on my own. From then on the Sunday, it was a lot easier having someone else there, even if you're not saying anything. Just knowing that you can if you want to.
It's nice having a foothold in the college, just out, even if it's outside of your floor, which most people find, but sharing room is just
easier, isn't it? Yeah, exactly. I think for Trevs, a lot of people have actually just found their people now, and a lot of people, even if, as you said, their landing wasn't their people, they've now gone out and sort of got to know others. And because of the way Trevs is, it's only like 300 people in our year at Trevs. So you kind of, we've been here, say, 2 and a bit weeks now, and we you know everyone you want to know really.
Yeah, it's pretty easy to like gravitate to your sort of people, isn't it? Like, there's a lot of chances to meet people, and you quickly grasp who is your kind of person, who isn't, and then you just move on. Don't you?
Have the initial conversation go. You can kind of tell straight away from their energy if they are your person or not. And if there's not, no harm done. I mean, they're a bad person. It's just they're not the people for you. And then you keep going, find the people you like, and then stick with them. Really.
Exactly.
If you ever want to branch out, there's millions of societies and everything, isn't there?
Exactly. Yeah. So we're gonna move on and talk a little bit about Freshers Fair and how that went for us. So yeah, Saint mate, what sort of societies were you interested in? What did you look at?
Millions of them. There was I think I joined too many really. Anything from curry club to old cinema, a little bit of intro to law.
Love that.
Anything really. Table tennis, of course.
So have you attended any societal events so far?
I've attended the poker one. Did a bit of a college football induction, and
Love that.
I couldn't get into the curry club social actually. There's so many people trying to join. There's like
high demand for that curry.
Exactly. But looking forward to the ones to come.
Exactly. Tom, what about you, mate? What have you been up to?
I also went to the first poker night. Wiped the floor with Archie, so that was good fun. I've done college football, college rugby. Going to do physics society and things like that. So yeah, it's been good fun. Got my first rugby social tonight. So
yeah,
not sure what to expect of that, but
hopefully it goes all right.
Looking forward to it.
If there's no other podcast episodes after this, you'll know what's happened.
Yeah,
I know it should be all good. But yeah, so Tom, tell us a bit more about your football. Did you get man of the match the other day?
I did. Yeah, in the big Trev C team.
It's big C's.
Big game against the Euston North postgrads. 1-4-2.
So they're all like over 21.
Yeah, big Alex Lawless made his debut in goal.
Yes, mate. Saved a few hard
very
goals.
Solid performance.
Yes, man. It was good all round. But yeah, so like going on to like freshers going out, how did you find? How was the club then? How was it all for you?
It was similar to back home really. Like from where I'm from near Harrogate, so that was the sort of closest place to go on a night out, and there was only one major club there really, and it's a bit like that, just having 3 of them about, or 3 or 4 of them.
Yeah.
But no, I found Freshers Week at the start when the colleges were booking out the clubs. That got a bit annoying because if you just want to go on a night out with your mates, and then it's like, oh, sorry, you can't get in this club because it's been booked out by 2 or 3 colleges.
Or this college.
Yeah, that got a bit annoying. But after Freshers Week finished, it's been back to normal. It's been good, yeah. Nice,
man. What about you, Saint, mate? You've had a bit of a fun time, didn't you?
Yeah, love the clubs. I hadn't done much clubbing before I came here, but I wasn't expecting the clubbing here to be this good, really. I mean, I thought it would be disappointing compared to a big city like Newcastle or London or something, but clubs are good music.
Nice, man. If you had to pick a club as your favourite, what would you say?
I'd say Jimmy's so far.
Oh, Jimmy's.
Yeah, do you want to tell us a bit more about
Tell us about Jimmy's,
solo adventure in Jimmy's that you had?
Yeah. After the football induction, we went to Spoons, had some drinks, and for some reason that I've forgotten now, I got kicked out of Spoons, and
that's not good.
No, but made my way home, and on the way I found Jimmy's just sitting there.
He was there waiting for you, mate. Jimmy was like, come on in.
Like the queue was tiny, like 12 o'clock. I was like, oh, go on.
Yeah.
Made my way in. It was probably the best nights I've had so far.
Do you remember anything that happened in Jimmy's?
Basic club stuff.
Oh yeah, fair enough, mate. Daily routine, mate.
A bit of dancing.
Bit of dancing, bit of bit of this, bit of that. Fair play, mate. But yeah, Tom, what would you say has been your favourite club so far?
I'd probably say players in overall. We went to the Taylor Swift night at Babylon the other night. That was interesting. Had to queue for quite a while for that one, so I wouldn't put that as my favourite night out so far. We've been to Newcastle for a night. That was all right. The club there was fairly similar to the Durham clubs. It just had 3 floors, and some of the DJs were a bit questionable, but that was good fun. Went with with Bertie. He had some fun.
For our listeners.
Yeah. They know Bertie on
the personal level.
F3.
That's where he lives. Give out his like national insurance number and that as well. No, but so Bertie, if you're listening, you're a dirty dog. That's all I have to say.
Bertie.
Bertie.
Stop farting.
But yeah, so when we went up to Newcastle, we went to the Newcastle uni. So we, we stayed there for a little bit with some of our friends. But no, it was really weird going to a different uni, seeing how they all experienced it. And I think a lot of them just come back from the races because there was a lot of people wearing like proper kitted out stuff, like sort of like tweed jackets, flat caps, sort of stuff like that. But yeah, it was kind of really mental.
Shuffle United.
Newcastle United. This was the day after they got all their money.
Big takeover, yeah.
Big takeover from the old Saudis.
Yeah. Another society I've joined is a football supporter society. So I've joined that and managed to get tickets for Chelsea, Newcastle, which is good. I'd have the chance to actually get involved in some of the local areas. Is nice.
Exactly. Well, yeah. So let's move a little bit away from Durham now. Let's just talk about you two, like individually, like the experiences you've had coming up to Durham. So, Mr. Saint, mate, I heard you lived in America for a bit, didn't you, mate?
Yeah, for 4 years.
Oh yeah, how was that?
Oh, it was very interesting. I lived probably the most interesting place in America. Just cultural clash. I lived in Richmond, Virginia, the border between the deep south and the north, Washington, D.C.
Wow.
Just clash of values, rednecks versus liberals.
Yeah.
Quite interesting.
It's like, tell me about that a bit more. Like, what did you see when you was around about? So you're walking down the street. What sort of stuff would you be seeing?
Well, people don't really walk down the street there.
Oh,
is it? You either drive somewhere or you're at home.
Lock your doors.
Yeah, exactly.
Especially when Saints about.
In my neighbourhood,
lock your doors, mate.
In my neighbourhood, you'd walk about, see some houses. You know, they've got their Confederate flags outside the front door, flying strong,
flying proud,
and also the American flags. And everyone's patriotic. They seem welcoming, but then
not at all.
But then you're also the outsider, so it's like, oh,
yeah,
can't allow that.
Well, so like, how did they treat you as a Brit going over there?
Well, at school it was like, at the beginning everyone was like, "Oh, say Harry Potter."
British
water,
bottle of water.
But yeah, I found some mates after a while. They weren't like that all the time.
They got over the fact that you were British eventually.
Yeah, it took like a year or two.
Oh yeah, year or two of hard graft, saying about Harry Potter every day.
Yeah,
funny, a little bit of respect. Nice. See, like what? So yeah, what else was it like? What did you do? Any sort of clubs out there? What did you get up to in your free time?
Well, what was that? Did a lot of sport. Tried out American football for a bit.
Yeah.
That was. I'm still a rugby man all the way, but that was not. Because I'm more of a big guy, I was a lineman, so I just end up shoving people all the time. And,
Love that.
I end up getting a concussion.
Oh my!
Out of school for 2 months, couldn't play football or couldn't play sports for 4 months.
Wow.
And so that was dangerous. Did a bit of wrestling.
No way, man. What was that like?
The singlet, the little vest.
Yeah.
The vest
what Logan Paul did, didn't he?
Yeah.
You I was just sweaty. That's basically
some sweaty wrestling.
Yeah.
Some US. Like,
we'll work on getting a photo of that.
Yeah, we'll get a photo, put in the credits of this. But yeah, so like, how did the concussion happen? Just like head on head then, or
I don't know. I like memory loss.
I can't really remember it.
Memory loss before the incident. Like I was out for like 2 minutes, I think.
Wow. Anything else about like US culture you've noticed compared to like British culture from where you live in?
Oh yeah, portion size.
Oh yeah.
Portion size is a big thing. Like I don't know, it's difficult to describe. Like the food there is like it's so much less filling, but there's like it's like so much quantity, but it's just I don't know. You can tell how these classic Americans end up the way they do with their turkey flaps on their
bingo wings,
yeah.
And
wow. So you were there for 4 years. That was in Richmond, Virginia.
Yeah.
Did you ever like visit other places in the US?
Yeah, I did. I went up north a bit. Went to Boston. Went to New York.
What were they like?
Boston was a pretty sick city. It's more Anglo-ish than most other places.
Yeah.
And it's just it's just an actual city with Italian quarter, Chinatown, all that sort of stuff.
Irish bit as well.
It's got stuff going on basically, and then you got New York, where it's like, it basically just lived up to its reputation. Really, just like
It's a mental.
yellow cabs,
Yeah.
tons of people. Wall Street was just buzzing.
Yeah, all the like sort of stock traders running about.
Yeah,
and stuff.
exactly.
Man.
I also went to California a bit.
So you've been to all the major sort of hubs.
I didn't go to Florida, but
Apart from Florida.
I went to Colorado as well. But,
What did you think about Cali?
Cali was. I liked San Francisco. That was an amazing city.
Wow.
But the like saw Golden Gate Bridge, cycled all around the city. It was just quite progressive city. And then LA was, I didn't like LA.
Oh, why not?
It just seemed like such a scumbag city.
Really?
It was like, it's just terrible.
What did you see that made you think that? Like,
It just seemed like everywhere you went, it just seemed like grim. Like there'd be the sort of grotty parts where you're just like, oh, fair enough.
yeah.
But then the nice parts are just like really fake, like
Oh,
Beverly
yeah,
Hills.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
just like so much money, but like
it's all a front, isn't it? Like, it's
Yeah,
all
exactly.
bullshit, isn't it?
the best part of California was like when you go out into the wilderness. I went to
Like the national park sort of
Yosemite
thing.
National
Nice.
Park. That was sick.
Nice, man. How big? They're massive. Them national parks, aren't they?
Oh yeah, Teddy Roosevelt did a solid there.
Did a solid. Cheers, Teddy. Cheers for that, bro. So yeah, how old were you when you moved to America?
12.
And that was until 16.
Yeah.
Nice, man. So before that, where were you? Southampton.
Southampton. Well, before that we were like north of Hampshire, and then
Okay.
when I was like 10, we moved down to Southampton, and then Dad got a job in America, moved to America.
Nice, man. So like, how did you feel like leaving all your friends behind when you moved?
Well, to be honest, it was all a bit sudden. Like,
Really?
I just went on a rugby tour to Jersey and came back. We went for a curry. It was in like March. And then my dad was like, "Oh yeah, so we're gonna go to America.
Oh, okay.
we're gonna have some. We're going over to have a look at some houses
Oh,
to try and move into." We're just like, safe.
cheers. What about all my friends? Fuck off. Off you go, mate.
It was a cool experience.
Yeah, man. It sounds it.
Barely other people like able to experience that. It was so good.
Honestly, so I had to have a bit of your childhood just in America, and then you're like, so when you came back, how was that? Did you like still reconnect with your old friends, or?
Well, I kept up with my old friends all the way through. It was
Yes.
like going to a new school. Like, I don't know, in 4 years, like culture changes quite a lot. People change quite a lot.
Imagine.
Like I came back for like a week a year during the summers, and you didn't really get the full picture of everything. Like
No.
everyone's just changed so much.
And imagine the whole year, how much personal growth you do in a year.
Exactly. So I was still in the mindset like everyone's still 12. I was like, oh,
Yeah,
it's gonna
everyone's
be
running
easy.
around, playing with like diggers and that.
No.
Buzz Lightyear and stuff. And then you
Yeah, it was only Saint that was still playing with them.
yeah, and the crayons eats them as well.
Alright, there's the Lego.
The Legos up the place, mate, and up somewhere else as well. Oh, but yeah, mate, like that's really cool. So you came back, and then it just kind of just slotted back into your old sort of friendship group.
Yeah,
or-
after a short while, it was pretty easy.
Nice, man. But yeah, so like you did sixth form in Southampton then.
Yeah.
Nice. And then obviously moved back over to where we are now, Duzza.
Yeah, it doesn't.
And that's present day, Archie saying.
Present day.
Didn't you do some like rowing and stuff in America as well?
Oh yeah, I did. I joined a rowing club, RCC.
Shout
Big
out.
up, yeah.
Big 'em up.
But yeah, that was sick. Rode on all sorts of rivers.
Love that. But yeah, so let's move over to Tomo. Tomster. Walk me through, mate. What's it been like?
Where do we start?
Where do we begin? Right at the start, mate. Conception, mate. Joking, we'll skip that bit.
Yeah, but I'm a bit less travelled than Archie to my left. I was born about 10 miles from where I live at the moment. But I went to school in Harrogate as well, and then moved to Ripon, which is a city just north of Harrogate, and now I live sort of near between Ripon and Thirsk. So yeah, really not gone very far. So yeah, quite a contrast to Archie's moving about.
Yeah, definitely. What was it like going to secondary school there?
Well, I went to secondary school in Harrogate, and to be honest, I didn't really like it. Like the school wasn't the best, and like I had mates and stuff. I was still in touch with them, but like wasn't really my thing. So I moved to school in Ripon. the grammar school, which I really liked, and then was there for 5-6 years, and loved it. So,
Head boy.
yeah, it was, yeah.
Big man.
Yeah.
So like, I don't know, what about the first school you went to was like put you off or made you not like it?
It was very big.
It's
And
a
like,
really big school. Yeah.
because I came from like a prep school, primary school, where it's like sort of 15 in the class,
Yeah, so quite
and
small,
like
small
making
schools.
that jump to such a big school where it's like 300 in your year group.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't know half the people because there was like 2 sides of the year,
Oh really?
like 4 forms in each. So
Oh.
it just wasn't really my cup of tea.
No, exactly.
But no, the new one I joined was much smaller and had was it 5 classes per year, where I could actually know everyone in my year group. You know, all the sport was good. Yeah, it was a lot easier settling in there because one of the first things I did, as soon as I got accepted in, they said, "Do you want to go on the rugby tour?" Before I'd met anyone.
Oh, that's good.
It was a rugby tour to Paris. And I was saying to my mum, I don't want to go on it. I don't know anyone that's going. And then she said, "Oh, it'll be good for you to do it." So I went on it, and then still got friends with me today from that. So
Exactly. It's all about them sort of like moments when you take that jump. You don't know what's going to happen.
Exactly,
But when you
exactly.
do it, you throw yourself in, sort of in the deep end, and then it comes out good.
exactly.
Nice, man. So you did the rugby tour, and then I don't know. Would you say you've got any sort of standout stories, like funny stories from your time at that school?
Standout stories.
Or like funny ones, just like funny things that happened, like weird stuff that happened at the school.
Oh god,
Because
that's.
I've got a few I could tell.
Go on, you say one of yours while I'm thinking.
Okay, well, I'm not going to bait out the school because I'm not going to do that to them. But there was a school in the southeast area of England that had a bit of a problem with a man called the Poo Bandit. And basically, what that is a man who would defecate in his own hand and then uses his matter as a crayon and then write on the wall, "The Poo Bandit strikes again." And this happened like 4 times. And then it got to the point where the caretakers were in some sort of cat and mouse with this man, and never kind of discovering who he was. And they got to the point where like they were committing resources to discover who this was, like little patrols past the toilets, all of this sort of stuff. And then to this day, they never found out who it was. And my brother, who goes to the school at the moment, tells me that it still happens. So there must be someone who's like,
Passed it on.
pass on the trend.
Yeah.
Yeah, sort of like get the role of Poo Bandit. They've got to fulfill their roles to the best of their ability.
Right. So
Yeah.
Take up the mantle.
Exactly, mate. Pick up the yoke of being the Poo Bandit.
So there wasn't anything quite that bad at my school, but one of the funnier things was towards the end of sixth form, every lunchtime, there was this boy, and sort of all of his mates, he would just do anything basically.
Well, you just make it do whatever you want.
Yeah, he would. If he thought it was slightly funny, he'd do it. So they got into a routine of like every lunchtime. There was a co-op next to the school, and they'd go into the co-op and just find the most disgusting thing possible that he could eat. They'd all stick like a pound in, and he'd get a tenner to like. And one lunchtime, I just walked in because I was having to like do a sweep round of the school with to like check on things, and I just walked in, and he was sort of like 3/4 of the way through eating a tin of like wet dog food.
Dog food.
It was disgusting.
What, did he chum or did he just take it?
I think he actually took it, but it had like chili sauce on it. Oh, it was disgusting. I've never seen anything like it.
Bloody hell! My man just literally found a tin of dog food.
Yeah, with chili sauce as well. They get like the hottest chili possible and see if he could stomach it.
What was his game? Do you think like they would make friends from doing that or something?
I think so. It's quite. Yeah.
If I eat this dog food, they'll like me. Bloody hell!
Yeah.
Where is he now? Any ideas?
I'm not sure actually.
That is a question, isn't it? Well, the kids who are like, they just kind of go off the rails, don't they? Like, where are they now?
Go off the grid as well. Yeah.
Like, there was this one kid in my school who like did no work. Like, it was a good grammar school, but he just didn't do anything. He got no GCSE. I think at the time, like, he got 1 GCSE. I think it was like Spanish or something, because he showed up for the exam and he wrote his name on it, right? And he didn't go to sixth form. Apparently, he said he was going to be like an entrepreneur or something, but he just lives in his dad's like basement or something now. Yeah. He's mad. But yeah, Mr. Saint, mate, you must have a few little diamonds there, little gem stories.
There's one story. It's more of a ballad, really.
Oh, ballads! Come on, treat us.
It's the story of the 2 bows at one of my schools in America.
It sounds like some sort of book or something.
Yeah, I know, right? These 2 guys, both named Bo,
right?
And they joined the school in kindergarten, which is like when you're like age 6, and we were in like 8th grade, which is like year 9.
Yeah.
And they'd hated each other from day one because they're both called Bo.
Oh, right. That was the
And
beef.
that was the beef back like when they were 6, and it just escalated.
Oh yeah.
So we were in 8th grade, and they just shit on each other like so much of the time.
Yeah.
And it had this epic climax where like I think it was, who was it? The Bo Morano stole Bo Brown's American football gear and hid it somewhere in the locker room, and and then Bo Brown spent like a good 2 hours trying to find it, and then got a massive punishment from the football coach, and like he had to run around the fields like a million times and stuff. And then so the next day Bo Brown sought out to get his revenge.
He was out for blood.
So what he did, office ceilings.
Yes.
So what he did, he climbed on top of the locker and chucked Bo Morano's lacrosse stick onto the ceiling, and then the Bo whose lacrosse stick was in the ceiling.
Yeah.
He got there, and he was like, he realized his lacrosse stick was gone. So he was like, "Where's my lacrosse stick?" And then Bo Brown's like, "It's in the ceiling."
The smug look on his face. It's in the ceiling.
So Bo Morano, he takes the trip up the locker. He decides to climb across the ceiling to try and get it. And the inevitable struck. He found the lacrosse stick and shouted, "I've got it!" And the entire ceiling crashed down.
The entire thing come down?
It just came down.
Oh,
there was
no.
dust everywhere. It was so funny. I mean, it's terrible.
Yeah.
It is so
And
funny.
is this the ceiling where it's like the tile panels you can push up?
You can push up. They're like so thin, but Bo Morano was pretty light going.
Yeah,
So
he's just
able
like
to
dying
shimmy
about
across,
there.
but he stopped for a second when he got it, and just like
Bang! What, like he was all in the room as well?
and he just completely fell from the ceiling down to the floor.
Did the teachers care or anything? Were they just
It
chilling
was
about
just a
it?
massive thing. Like everyone was.
He pulled a roof down.
Yeah, we all had to
God,
keep
yeah.
our silence. Like we got because
Oh yeah.
they just get expelled.
Yeah, then Philly would have kicked you out.
Yeah, we had massive punishments when it came to football, like running around. We had to run around the fields so much.
Keep running. Did I
Just
say
go.
stop? No.
Just get abused.
Yeah. So like you
It was worth
didn't go to you go to high school, did you? You didn't, did you?
Oh yeah, for like 2 years.
So you didn't go to high school?
Yeah.
What was that like? Because it's not like the films, is it?
No, it's not like the films. It's not like Bad Neighbours or something.
Yeah.
It's like frat parties every night, but high school kind of version. But some of that does go on. But like in the last 2 years, I didn't really get to that.
You didn't get to the fun parties.
No. But there's like all the cliques and stuff.
The
That's
geeks, the nerds,
That's very true.
the jocks.
Yeah, you cannot be friends with everyone. You have
pick your crew.
You got exactly.
So what crew were you in?
I was in like the sort of half jock, half like actually do some work people.
Do some work, people. That's a nice way of saying
Yeah,
nerds.
no, but like these like some of my friends have gone to do like sports scholarships. They're sort of jocks, but
fair
not really.
play.
You didn't want to be in with the nerds. That was just painful to talk to.
Because couldn't have a conversation, could they?
No, it's just like they start talking about the grapes of wrath, and it's just like,
I don't care about the grapes and rough. What, so like, did you have the big sort of American football games? You see?
yeah, like they had stadiums and stuff.
Like
For
an
high
actual
schools,
stadium?
for high school, not like 40,000 stadium.
Not a nuke,
They got like a full grandstand though.
Wembley.
Like
Yeah.
I don't know, like 500 people.
Yeah,
could
that's
fit.
mental, isn't it?
Yeah,
Just for a normal
exactly.
school.
And cheerleaders.
Yeah.
You look like you enjoyed that scene.
Yeah, mate. Enjoyed the performance. What
Yeah,
some
that's good.
was it the thing that like the jocks would get with the cheerleaders?
Yeah.
Was that like an actual thing that
That's because they're basically in the same group.
yeah. Same sort of social sort of
Yeah.
circle.
Exactly.
The nerds would get with the nerds.
Nerds wouldn't go with anyone.
Oh, they wouldn't get with anyone. It's the incels. Like you'd have the geeks and that. And obviously the goths. Were there any goths?
Sort of, but like it's sort of
Emo.
it's transformed from like goths and emos to like the LGBT.
Oh.
And they'll do like theatre and music and stuff,
fair
and no
play.
one else is allowed to do that.
You're not allowed to participate
Yeah,
unless you're in
exactly.
my group.
Exactly.
Yeah, now that's mental. So that's I've got another story I can tell from my school. Again, not mentioning the school. Basically, this kid, we everyone got changed in PE. And this one time, we did a similar sort of thing to you, but it was on quite a larger scale. So we stole all of this kid's. He was getting changed. He was like pants. And they took everything out and put it in the roof. And where the changing room was, there was like 2 doors. There's 3 doors. The middle door that went through some toilets. The door on the right, there was some showers, and then the door on the left, which was like a PE cupboard. And I think that the PE teachers mistakenly left the key in the door to the cupboard. So what they did, is they said to the kid, he's like, "Where's my clothes?" And they've gone, "In that cupboard, mate." He's gone in the cupboard, slams the door, locks it. He's banging the door down. "Let me out! Let me out!" And then just no one's letting him out. And he was in there for like about an hour.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And then his teacher came in and was, "Oh my God, we've got to let him out now, let him out." And then he was just like traumatized. He was in a dusty cupboard in his pants for an hour. Like,
So I've got a similar story. And basically there was a boy in my year and he had a sister a couple of years above.
Oh, yeah.
And when we got into the higher years playing rugby, everything comes out on the rugby bus after the games.
It does, doesn't it?
And one of the boys in his sister's year that he was then playing rugby with had had his way with his sister.
Oh, no.
but not just anything. Like the school had a swimming pool. And it was in the swimming pool.
Oh.
So obviously everyone on the bus knew.
What,
and then
publicly, like in the pool, with everyone around him?
No, just he broke into the pool. So both borders. And and on the rugby bus, it was like you had to do fines after the game.
Fines?
Yeah, so you get like embarrassed after the game. And his fine was that he got told that about his sister in front of everyone.
What did he do?
Well, he couldn't deal with it. It was just like, everyone was cringing. It was like, imagine
That's so bad.
Finding that out in front of all your mates.
So, what's my fine? Well, actually, Jimmy in the year above has been boning your sister. Not just anywhere, in the school pool. And you're just like, oh, okay. Well, I'm going to cry myself to sleep tonight. Like,
That's a bit grim, though, because people have got to swim
yeah,
in
what if
there
he's
after
probably
that.
swam in that pool?
Yeah. So we had that as well. There was a boy in my year, and like one of his mates was actually going out with his sister, who was, I think, like 4 or 5 years
Well, his own
older.
sister?
No. So like
Sweet home.
one of my mate's sister was going out with another one of his mates.
All right.
But there was sort of like a 4 or 5 year age difference.
Yeah, that's what
I think one was 18 and one was like 14, 15. It's like,
no.
That's a bit noncy, isn't
That
it?
kind of age difference.
yeah. So,
That's rough. It all goes on in Ripper, mate, doesn't it? Bloody hell. Oh, what other stories can I tell from my school? I think, so we went this one day, where, what was it? There was these 2 kids, these nerdy kids, and they used to sing. So what we'd do, is we'd like go to them, "Guys, sing," and then we'd get like the whole year group to form a massive crowd, and these 2 kids would just sing like "We Will Rock You," and everyone pretended to be like really into it. That was so funny. But no, there's this other thing, So it was did you have like inter-house sport?
yeah.
Did you have inter-house rugby?
Yeah.
Was it always a piss take?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we had this one year where we was playing this other house and we destroyed them so much. I think it was like we put like 20 or 30 points on them, like tries on them, and then we were like, right, let's have some fun. So the kids who weren't in the inter-house rugby were in something called the Effort Cup. So it was like where the non-sporty kids went.
Yeah.
And I was the captain in my inter-house, and I was like, let's do some tactical substitutions. So basically, I subbed off everyone who was like good, brought in all the nerds, and then what we did was we formed some sort of triangle around this kid. We said, if you touch this nerd, we're going to basically bounce you. And then we walked this sort of like Spartan triangle across the pitch, and then the kid scored. And then this kid from the other team had the audacity to dump tackle him. So our entire team, I'm talking about 15 like built lads, rushed this kid on this bundle thing.
Oh, no.
And then the ref's like, what is going on? I've never seen this happen before in a game.
Yeah.
And then, like, the kid, like, was a bit flat after that. He didn't try his luck again. But, yeah. So you guys got any, I don't know, any other stories from school you think need to be shared? He definitely has.
I can't think of any at the moment.
But just stuff about America, generally.
It's pretty much, I mean, don't really want to go into the racism aspect.
Is it pretty bad, though?
Yeah, you just...
The stuff you
Yeah,
see.
like, it's just shit people say. It's
Or just like stuff they just say casually, like would be
you
really
know,
bad.
like they whisper it to you, and it's just like, oh,
Why are you saying that?
why-
Just shut
what
up.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and I think it's obviously where it is geographically as well, with the
And
history of
it's like-
Confederacy.
They say it in such a childish way, you know, their parents have just like put it on them, like taught them to be like that.
Because they're just products of their environment, aren't they? Because if their parents are going to talk to them like that, then they're going to take on them sort of values and then become like that, which is so sad, isn't it? Really, like let's move into a bit more like abstract stuff rather than our lives. Like, do you think that nature versus nurture? What are you guys saying on that?
I think nurture's a pretty big influence. I'd say it's got a bigger influence out of the two, because like it's such when you're that age, I think the brain is just like a sponge, and like everything that you can learn is just like water being poured onto that sponge, and the early stuff gets right in the middle, and then everything else is like sort of comes in around that central initial thing. So I think if you're not growing up in the right environment, it puts you at a massive disadvantage.
Exactly. That goes into the thing where the frequency of your brain from age 0 to 7 is different. It's a lower level of consciousness. And it's like, imagine uploading like a file to a computer. It's like that, because you're learning what the world is and like gaining an actual consciousness and a perception. Because, you know, as you said, that is the core thing of which the foundation is built on. So, you know, if you do that wrong, if your parents have done that wrong, then you're going to, you know, face the consequences of that moving forward. And, you know, obviously it's not their fault because they're only doing the best they can. But at a certain stage, it's like, you know, the way I've been treated in my youth is having an impact on my personality now and the way I see and perceive others and the world, you know. And it is all about, like, you know, the kind of environment you were growing up in, because imagine the difference in perception from someone who's lived in, like, you know, a war zone or somebody who's grown up in, like, a really privileged environment.
I think it continues. Like, it doesn't just end, you know, after your formative years of like childhood. I think it actually the whole concept of it stays with you like until you're like into your adult life, because like the people you surround yourself with as well, like they have a big, like that's your projection out onto the world really, like who you associate yourself with, you know, what they do and like what they think. And if you're around people that have completely opposite views to you, then you're gonna be slightly swayed. You know, it's difficult to stick to your guns when everyone around you is thinking differently.
Exactly. It's like, let's say there was a policy to, I don't know, kill squirrels. And you're like, I love squirrels. I want them to do. I mean, that's my thing. And then, you know, the overwhelming tide of people's perception was, you know, let's eliminate all squirrels. And you're like, no, that's not okay. Because morally, you know that's wrong. But because the whole tide of people are saying something else, for you to go stick to your guns and go, no, it's very difficult.
Because you'd subconsciously, like, maybe not with the squirrels example, but you
or just like anything,
like subconsciously just change. You do change slightly to your environment. Everyone does it. Like talking to different people. I know I do. I talk differently to like each different person I meet. Like if I met, you know, when you talk to older people, you talk to adults, talk to children.
Exactly.
You know, you talk differently to different types of people, and you know, whoever you associate yourself with the most that's probably the main way that you will put yourself out. Really, like.
Exactly. You know, there's a saying that goes, you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with.
Yeah.
So if them 5 people are, you know, people who inject heroin in the basement, then, you know, you're not going to be going too well. However, if you know, go for the 5 people who are better than you in every way, then you're going to be raised by them as opposed to being dragged down by someone else.
To feed off the people around you, not, you know.
Exactly. You can't be afraid to, you know, be friends with people doing better than you, because that's the whole point, is it pushes you to go further, as opposed to being like surrounded by yes men, where people who just kind of just like, you know, sort of stroke your ego and don't actually force you to grow at a personal level.
That's the thing about university though, it's like you said about the social experiment, you're literally thrown in with a load of people who've had in general a similar like educational life up till now, all got similar sort of grades, you know, all doing similar subjects on your course. And then you actually get to meet like sort of like-minded people, all with like hugely different backgrounds, even though they've had so many similarities in their path to get to where you are, because you're at the same destination. They just have such different stories to tell, and they're all like completely unique people.
Exactly, because like although we're at the same destination, the journeys everyone's taken even as we've discussed in this room today through us three, the journeys we've taken have been extremely different, and that's good because you need variation and you need, difference of experience because you have that, there may be something that someone has experienced or knows that we don't, and that's something you can learn from and therefore gain from. Because imagine if everyone had to go through the same sort of like factory assembly line process to form their personality and to form who they are. That'd be wrong because then there'd be no sort of variation. Imagine how boring the world would be if everyone was the same. Like, that's not the way it should be. There should be discourse. There should be variation because then that enables, wonderful discussions, wonderful culture, wonderful food to all exist. Because it can't exist if it's just, sort of you're in this mold. It's that like Buzz Lightyear thing that's like someone saying I'm original and it's all the other Buzz Lightyear does.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like that, like, forge your own path. Don't do stuff because people tell you to do it. Go, okay, you're telling me to do this. One, why are you telling me to do this? What's the agenda? And like two, why is it going to benefit me to listen to you? And if it's not, then don't listen to them. Simple, just don't listen to them. Or if you don't agree with it morally, don't listen to them. Like Benjamin Franklin literally says, if a law is unjust, it's your right and responsibility to go against it. Because what is the law? It's just what society have said are the rules. And what the morals of society have said are the rules. It's not objective in any way.
No. No, the main laws are like sort of your moral laws that you set for yourself, ahead of others. They are the top thing. If, they're the ones you don't break. And if something doesn't agree with that, then you've got to question either your morals or the law that it doesn't agree with.
Exactly. Saint, what do you think about that, mate?
I think I agree, but like my question is, to what extent can you allow other people's views?
Can you allow?
Yeah. That's the main thing. Like you want to have all this open mindedness in the world, but then do you have to be open minded to narrow mindedness?
I think with that it would just be involving the sort of harm principle of nil, which is like as long as you're not hurting anyone, do what you want. And we allow all discourse to be discussed, all opinions to be discussed, because especially with like fringe and extremist views, if you force it underground, then it forms an echo chamber of people the only people interacting with their views, if they're forced underground, are people with them views, and then it more entrenches their view. But if you keep it, surface level and allow debate, so imagine if people had really wrong and extremist views, had a debate with a more rational person, then it would be very clear to the audience and to anyone watching that the irrational sort of extremist view is wrong. But if you forced it underground,
it doesn't give them a chance to actually canvass other opinions because all the opinions they're getting is just like-minded people.
In this sort of echo chamber, that has been very much perpetuated by Facebook and other sort of social media platforms that target the sort of content you see to your beliefs and your likes, therefore meaning that you're not going to be exposed to anything that's challenging of your view, and the only thing you're going to get is more evidence to prove that the view you already hold is right. And that just keeps going really, and that's a big thing with it as well with the internet now. Like you see what you want to see, and you don't see what you don't want to see because you can choose what you view. And obviously, the whole point in any social media platform is to retain you as a consumer. And
exactly, they don't want to show you something that's going to off-put you or disturb you or anything like that.
They just want to elicit emotion, so
they
you
just
stay
want
on
to
the app.
feed you with all the stuff that you want to see.
Exactly, keep you going.
Latest news and celebrities and all this. They're not going to show you what's actually going on, are they?
Yeah. They're going to give you all of this stuff that's going to keep you in a sort of trance-like state. And a really good song to listen to, if you deep the lyrics, is Katy Perry's "Chained to the Rhythm." Just watch the music video, listen to the lyrics, and just kind of, have a think. Because some of the stuff she says in that is like quite mental, and it's just about how people live in such a comfortable life that they don't question anything. And I've got two examples from history that backs this up. Number one would be like Julius Caesar and how he said that bread and circuses basically keep the population from rebelling, because bread obviously representing abundance of food, bread, and had to get that in somewhere, bread. And circuses being like entertainment, like the Colosseums. And then you could argue that like modern sport, especially football, fills that role within our society. And then you can also see, I think it's the Palace of Versailles, one of the French kings. He had all these enemies who were trying to take him down. And then basically what he did was say, right, everyone who doesn't like me, you can go live in this palace with all these women, Louis XIV, all this food, all this all these women and just have a good life. And they didn't, they didn't want to kill him anymore. They didn't want to bring him down because they're having a good time. And therefore, because they were chained to the rhythm and trapped in utopia, to quote Katy Perry, they didn't feel the need to rebel. It's like
it's appeasement, isn't it? That's what it's just finding someone that disagrees with you and just sort of giving them partially what they want for your own benefit and to stop them from
taking you down.
Sort of feeling so strongly about that.
Exactly. Like
it's a pretty empty thing to do because it's not sustainable. You can't, like with that King Louis, he couldn't do that for everyone.
Right.
If there was more people, the palace would run out of rooms, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
And then it's in the long term, you're better off actually trying to please. He would have been better off rather than just trying to appease the ones that hated him. Maybe listening to them and trying to change stuff.
Or just do what a lot of governments do is change a tiny thing. It's very insignificant, but it's like throwing meat to the lion.
Yeah,
it's like they're satisfied now. You've said you've had a reform on the law. You've said you'd have a reform on the way the political system works, but you've set up the election in a way that the people who want the change isn't enough, and the people who don't want the change aren't going to vote for it anyway. So therefore, you've kind of, on paper, done what you've said you're going to do.
Yeah.
However, in reality, the tangible impact is not there. And that's the way it's all sort of stagecraft and the way to manage populations. And a massive aspect of that is controlling the media and how you can control people's perceptions. Because as the saying goes, perception, I've talked about this quite a lot in the podcast so far, but it is very, very important, so I'm going to say it again. Perception is reality. So the way you perceive things is your reality. It doesn't matter to me, if the objective world is different to my view. I don't know that. I can only see my subjective perception of reality. And, if I've lived my whole life thinking that a colour, what I call purple is purple, but to everyone else apart from me in the world, purple is red, exactly. I'm not going to know. And
it's all about frames of reference, isn't it? Exactly. Like you can only see things from your own frame of reference. You can't see what anyone else sees.
No.
I've always thought, how interesting would it be to actually see through someone else's eyes?
How they see you.
Exactly.
What they actually think.
And with your brain and everything like that. We understand so little about it that we can't understand how another person will actually think.
Right, exactly. And it's like as well with perception, everyone has a unique view of you. So how they see you is different to how another person would see you, depending on the experience and their perception themselves have taken you in. Because you may have someone who's a massive fan of West Ham, or somebody who hates West Ham as a Millwall fan. So how they'd react to a West Ham fan would be extremely different due to their different perception of that team. And I think a good example of that is let's say for example, someone's whole life, all of the stimulus, I've said this again quite a few times, but all of the stimulus in their life has told them, so from education, family, friends, culture, all of it's told them that an apple is an orange. And this is an orange, 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 orange. And then all of the sort of signs that you use for reference, the frames of reference, have told you that the orange is an apple. And then one day someone runs along and goes, no, mate, the apple is an orange. Or they reverse it. And then you're like, what? And then you think they're lying because everything you've been told is a lie. But because your frames of reference are the lie, you think the truth is a lie.
Yeah. But then, who is lying? Because all that was just someone a long time ago saying, I'm going to call this an orange, or I'm going to call this an apple. And that person has just done it differently and called them the other way around. So none of them are categorically correct, which is one of the long-standing thing. But
just because words been associated with something.
Exactly. It all started from one person having that opinion.
Exactly. And it's even perceptions of society, views of society. That is just one person's way of perceiving something. And that's what ideology is. It's obviously been formed over hundreds of years by different thinkers. But the overall thing is, ideology is a very straw man concept anyway, because there's not one specific thing which you could tie down and go, this is conservatism, this is liberalism, because there's so many mini schools of thoughts within that. It's just sort of like an umbrella thing to go, roughly these people say the same. And even within it, you can even argue that for most ideologies anyway. So it's just all the way, it's just someone's perception. They're trying to say, look, my perception's the best, vote for me. And then somebody who's got a very similar perception, but slightly different, that appeals to a slightly different demographic, goes, no, my perception's best. But in reality, they're both in bed with each other. They're both doing the same thing. And most things are decided on a global level anyway. So to our listeners, you'll know what I mean. And if you don't, do your own research, because I can't really say specifically. But yeah, honestly, there's a lot of stuff going on. And as they say in Wizards of Waverly Place, not everything is as it seems. So the key takeaway I'd say from this is just question everything. Like, genuinely, you see something, like, just because the media says it or some sort of talking head says it, doesn't mean that you should listen. And there's this big thing about, like, people listening to people due to them having a title or some sort of position of responsibility, and just on the merit of that, they believe them or listen to them. So, for example, like, this man's the political correspondent or this man's the medical officer. Just because you've attributed a title to someone doesn't mean their opinion's any more valid than yours. You know? What do you guys think about what I've just said there? Any thoughts? Any final thoughts?
I don't think the title should have like the defining thing. I think obviously if they're more educated than you, then you could take their opinion differently. Like you'd say the medical officer, if it was an opinion on, for example, vaccines or something,
Yeah.
and it's coming from a medical officer, I think that would make a difference to whether you'd value their opinion more highly than just the person you walk next to on the street. You know?
No, exactly. I think at the same time you should still
Oh yeah, everyone's opinion's still valid, but I feel you naturally would subconsciously value their opinions differently.
I don't know. It's like there's a difference between America and Britain in that standpoint. Like there was the chief medical officer in America. I think he was called Fauci or something.
Yeah.
Or maybe it wasn't him. It was someone over there who was like telling people to get vaccines, and then like all the Republicans were like, "Well, why should we listen to you? You haven't got any medical background at all."
Yeah.
And then you got the medical officers over here, like what was his name,
Chris Whitty. Yeah.
Like he's got like he's like an actual doctor and stuff, and like maybe I should listen to him, but I don't know.
But yeah, to just finish, I'd say my final question to you boys would be: if you could say anything to the whole world right now, what would you say to them and why? If you put a message out that everyone saw.
Well, that's a good question.
So like everyone you know, everyone in the entire world, and this is going to kind of alter their perception. What would you want them? What would you want them to know? What would you want them to do, or what would you want them to think about more?
I'd probably use a quote from the last Bond film that doesn't use any spoilers, but it's what was it about? It was we'll see if we can find the quote whilst Archie's doing his.
Well, Archie, mate.
No pressure.
Oof.
Anytime today, mate.
No, all I've got to say is, right now I'm quite thirsty. I need some water, so make sure everyone in the world gets some water.
That's Archie saying's message to the world.
Archie saying message to the world. Make sure everyone gets some water.
Some wise words there, Archie.
I think so too.
Cool.
If you could change one thing about the world, what would it be?
Yeah, if you could change one thing about the world, what would it be? Or just keep it all the same, mate?
Yeah, go on.
You keep everything the same.
No.
Right. True
Right,
statesman, Archie saying.
I've found the quote. So, the proper function of man is to live, not to exist. I shall not waste my days in trying to prolong them. I shall use my time. I'd say that would be the message I'd want to put out. Sort of use your time living on the earth, as much as you can, rather than wasting days and wasting hours.
Exactly. I think that's a really, really good thing, and just a good final message for us to end on today. Just, do something. It doesn't matter what you do, just do something. Something you're passionate about, something you think, yeah, this is good. It doesn't have to be, and no one else has to like it. No one else has to even know about it. Just do it, And then you never know where it will end up. You could even change the world yourself, referencing a previous episode there. And also, we now have an Instagram page. So follow the Lawless Pod on Instagram. Most of you probably already will. But if you don't, then it's a good place to catch up and see what we're doing and how we're getting on with our studio, because we're moving into a new studio here in Durham. And yeah, it's called The Lawless Pod. So have a listen. And also, I'll put the boys' Instagram as well in the show notes. And yeah, if you have any ideas for episodes or anything you want me to cover or anyone you want me to get on, just send me a DM or message my email. So yeah, thank you very much for listening. Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Archie.
Thank you, Tom.
No worries, and we'll see you in the next one.